The Renaissance period took place during the 16th century and is split up into two phases, early Renaissance and the late Renaissance. The late Renaissance phase adopted Mannerist forms. Portuguese Mannerism is characterized by the simplicity of facades and minimal decoration. The church of the monastery of São Vicente de Fora has an austere Mannerist facade. The facade, attributed to Baltasar Alvarez, has several niches with statues of saints and is flanked by two towers. The lower part of the facade has three arches that lead to the entrance hall. The floor plan of the church reveals a Latin cross layout with a one-aisled nave and lateral chapels. Unique to the Portuguese Gothic style is the orange Spanish tile roof. The monastery of São Vicente de Fora is located in Lisbon, Portugal, and was established in 1582. Portuguese architecture continued to use Mannerist forms well into the 18th century, even after the arrival of Baroque architecture in the late 17th century. Distinguishable features of Renaissance architecture are square or rectangular-shaped buildings, symmetry, arches, domes, and flat ceilings. The sacristy of the monastery pictured here is exuberantly decorated with multiple colors of inlaid marble. The ceiling is decorated with a painting that features the Lamb of God in its center, surrounded by floral decoration. The two long wooden chests made of Brazilian jacaranda are used to hold the sacred vestments, and the room served as the priest's dressing room. The Pombaline period occurred during the 18th century. It is named after Sebastião José de Carvalho e Melo, first Marquis of Pombal, who played a key role in redeveloping Lisbon after the earthquake in 1755. He is credited as being responsible for creating a master plan to rebuild the city in a modern way that could stand up to future natural disasters. Pombaline buildings played a key role in the reconstruction process. As part of the process, guidelines were established to mitigate future earthquake disasters. Among the guidelines were height restrictions, innovative earthquake-resistant interior wood frames, foundations set on wood pilings, and masonry firewalls. Another innovative feature is that portions of wall construction were prefabricated off-site in an effort to lessen the reconstruction timeline. Pombaline buildings were unique in that there were often retail spaces on the ground floor and residential above. The facades are a simpler neoclassical style that allowed for the application of ornament to reflect use or importance of the building. Pictured here is an example of a Pombaline-style building located in Lisbon, Portugal. The neoclassical period took place during the 18th century. Due to the fact that it appears in a very troubled time, neoclassicism in Portugal develops in its very own way. Artistic and economic problems persisted in Portugal during this time, imposing a periodization different than that of the rest of Europe. Occurring roughly 10 to 15 years later than the rest of Europe, this style of architecture rose in popularity in the 1770s during the post-1755 earthquake reconstruction period. Pictured here is the Teatro Nacional de São Carlos, established in 1792, located in Lisbon, Portugal. Neoclassical buildings in Lisbon were more influenced by Italian buildings, and buildings in Porto, Portugal were more influenced by the British. Pictured here is the interior of the Teatro Nacional de São Carlos, showing a more ornate aesthetic than the exterior. The Portuguese neoclassical building is simple and very functional, subjecting everything to the character of its use. Attributes of neoclassicism are symmetry, pilasters, few columns, balconies, arcade on the ground floor functioning as a basement, and balustrades with little or no sculptural decoration. Pictured here is the Ajuda National Palace, constructed in 1794 in Lisbon, Portugal. It serves as a well-known building of national significance, displaying the neoclassical style prevalent at the time. Pictured here is the throne room of Ajuda National Palace. The current interiors are credited to Princess Savoy de Maria Pia, 1847 through 1911. The comprehensive renovation of the royal palace in the 19th century encompassed furniture, floors, walls, and ceilings. All furnishings were commissioned to specialized Portuguese and foreign suppliers of the royal household. Casa Carlucci, the official residence of the U.S. ambassador to Portugal, is an example of a neoclassical-style residence. It was built in 1878 by the Count of Alves e Penhalonga, who lived there until the early 1920s. In 1927, the Count's heirs rented the building to the U.S. government to be used as a residence for its minister, Fred Morris Deering, and for offices of the American legation. In 1939, following the transfer of the chancery to the nearby Rua Lapa, the building was used solely as the residence of the U.S. ambassador to Portugal. The property was purchased by the U.S. government in January of 1964. Casa Carlucci is a neoclassical style building that is rectangular in shape and 3 stories tall. By emphasizing the simplicity of the wall and its flat planar quality, as well as the separation of elements, the style was seen as a reaction to the more lavish excesses of Rococo. In these images, you can see the symmetrical layout of the primary facade, the monumental nature of the overall form, and the use of classical ornament. Unique to this neoclassical building, and similar to many Pombaline-style buildings in Lisbon, is the use of the narrow balconies on either side of the central axis on the second level. This element helps to ground the building within the surrounding context. The secondary facades of Casa Carlucci continue to follow the rigid layout of ornamentation and fenestration. As you can see in these images, the stone detailing is present, yet more subdued than that on the south-facing primary facade. Unique to this property and pictured here is the presence of side and rear yards, which are well landscaped and not common in the densely populated urban neighborhood of Lapa. Neoclassical interiors base their style on the classical period, particularly ancient Greece and Rome. This is seen in features such as paneling and molding, particularly imitating classical ornamentation. Additionally, the style utilizes a lot of wood elements in furniture. The style is marked by its elegance and timelessness. It is more modest compared to some of the more opulent aesthetics of the time. Nonetheless, there is an era-transcending luxury built into neoclassical. In these images, you can see the use of panelized moldings on walls, heavy use of base and crown moldings, and Corinthian columns surrounding a multi-story open stair atrium. A highly detailed ornate wood railing ascends the stairway and surrounds the central atrium. Classical Portuguese architecture has a rich history throughout the country's development, from its beginnings as a Roman territory through the neoclassical period in the mid-18th century. Many styles came into popularity by way of regional and religious influences, political aspirations, geographical events, and national necessity. The Roman, Moorish, Romanesque, Gothic, Renaissance, Pombaline, and neoclassical forms of architectural styles all played a significant role in creating the complex fabric that is the architectural heritage of Portugal. The different styles comfortably coexist throughout the landscape, and each helps to tell the fascinating story of the development of Portugal.